Welcome to the True Life Balance Podcast. I'm Brad.
And I'm Tiffany, and we are a married couple, real estate entrepreneurs, and parents to 8 kids.
And we have been living our life with real estate as our primary business since 2012. We flip houses, we've run a real estate team, and we're going to give you an inside look into what it really looks like to do all of that.
So this podcast is for married entrepreneurs who are chasing the dream while trying to not lose themselves or their spouse in the process.
We're going to give you a dose of strategy, of tools, but more importantly, the mindset that's allowed us to bring all of that together in one beautiful, chaotic life. This is the True Life Balance Podcast.
Hi, everyone. In today's podcast, we're going to touch on short sales, notices of default. We're really just reigniting with you guys. This is the first podcast we've done in a while, so we're excited to have you listen to this one.
Yeah, we're talking all things pre-foreclosure, trustee sales, what the economy looks like, what the market's looking like. We kind of go all over the place, but hope you enjoy the discussion. And this is just me and Tiff riffing on what we're working on right now. Enjoy. Welcome to our newest episode. We're calling this the relaunch.
Yes.
How about that?
It has been a while since we've been in the podcast studio and recorded one of these, but a lot has happened since the last time we recorded a podcast episode. So this is going to be an episode that's just going to fill you in on where we've been, what we've been up to, and honestly, what's gone on in the market. Kind of an update.
Yeah, update, a little bit of a travel log, but not too much in that. We're really focusing on what's happening in real estate, what we've been focusing on, and where we see the real estate world going right now.
All right.
So, 3 years ago, we made the decision to close our office, our physical location. We had rented a space in the town that we operate in Tooele, and we made the decision that we were going to close that and close our construction company.
Yeah. We started recognizing that it didn't make much sense to pay rent on a location. We definitely weren't getting the value from it. And after COVID, a lot of, especially real estate professionals, started officing out of their house, and I joined Real Broker, which is, a cloud brokerage. And we decided that was the direction we wanted to take our business. We wanted to build our business so that everybody that worked with us had the ability to work from home.
Yeah, so it seemed hypocritical to say you can work from home while also, not hypocritical, but it just didn't make sense to us to have office location. And so we decided to close the office, and we brought everything home. We have a big house, relatively speaking, with an office, and we're recording from our home office.
And that is part of the reason, because one of the cool things about renting the office is we had a dedicated podcast studio, so it made things a lot easier to record the podcast. Our intention was to keep the podcast going, but honestly, it wasn't top of priority. We had some other things. We were restructuring our business, making lots of big changes. So it did get backburnered a little longer than we were hoping.
Yeah. And in that time, we launched our very first mastermind. And we have now paused our mastermind, which was called the Flipping for Real Mastermind. It was and is a group for people that want to flip houses, and primarily as their primary business, like that's their vocation. I mean, you can do it. You can join our mastermind if you want to do it kind of part-time, but it was intended for people like us that make the majority of their money flipping houses and being real estate entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So one of the things that we were noticing in the market that we decided we needed to take action on, so during COVID, foreclosures actually paused.
Stopped completely, which dramatically affected our business. If you guys don't know, we were buying the majority of our projects that we were remodeling. We were actually buying them at trustee sales, or we were buying them from distressed sellers before they got to the trustee sale. Those were our two primary channels, finding houses.
So tracking NODs is something that we had been doing, and NODs stands for notice of default.
Also known as a pre-foreclosure. So
right.
Somebody who's been noticed that they've fallen so far behind on their payments that the bank is going to foreclose.
Yeah. So when that happened, I always want to call it a memorandum, but that's not the technical term for what
Moratorium.
moratorium. Thank you. So yeah, there was a moratorium that stopped all foreclosures, and what we later found out was happening, especially with FHA and VA loans. Anybody who was in default, the banks were actually just taking that. So typically, they have to be at least 4 months behind. Sometimes they're a lot more behind than that. But they take all of those payments plus any late fees, attorney fees, whatever, and they created a new loan on the back of the existing loan that would just need to be paid off. And a lot of times these homeowners weren't even knowing that this was happening. But instead of foreclosing, they were doing that over and over again.
What's the technical term for that, Tiff?
It's called a partial claim.
Partial claim.
Yeah. So that, in addition to loan modifications, are still doing loan modifications. The biggest difference, though, is that before, when you would get a loan modification, the homeowner would have to prove that they had the ability. Number one, they'd have to prove that they were experiencing some sort of hardship. And then they would have to prove that hardship, they're on the other side of that and they can continue making the payments from here on out. Because otherwise it just doesn't make sense to kick the can down the road.
So they basically had to re-qualify.
Yeah. And that actually went away. That piece went away. They no longer had to prove that they could continue making the payments. They just basically got this partial claim.
So we find ourselves today, notice of defaults in October of last year. Notice of defaults, well, not just notice of defaults, there was a change that happened in October of last year, Tiff. What was the significance of that change that happened?
So they made a new rule to partial claims because it was obviously getting out of hand. So they made the change October 1 of 2025 that says you can only get one partial claim every 2 years. Because like I was saying, what was happening is like there were some people that were not making any payments at all. They would get 4, 5, 6 months behind, enter into a partial claim. So that would all wrap up into a loan on the back of their existing mortgage. And then they would fall 3, 4, 5 months behind again and do the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah. And so in October, what the new directive to the FHA and HUD is they're not doing that anymore. You get one partial claim. Is that right?
Yeah, one partial claim every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
So having this information and knowing just where we're at, like the state of the economy right now, we're definitely, at the top of a high right now. And affordability is harder than it's ever been.
Well, here's the other context. Tiff and I have been tracking and following notice of defaults and pre-foreclosures in Utah full-time since 2011. Between 2011 and 2012, that was the core of our business. And so in 2020, when COVID happened, there was this moratorium that stopped all foreclosures. And it was never really lifted until October of 2026. Now, let me just ask a simple question. If you're listening, do you think everybody kept paying their mortgages? No, they didn't. Like the default rate stayed relatively the same.
Right.
The only thing that changed is the government's, or I should say the bank's willingness to foreclose based off of government intervention. Right?
Yeah. And the thing I want people to understand is it's not like we are, preying on these people who are losing their houses. It's not that at all. Actually, people being foreclosed on is a natural part of the real estate economy. It just happens.
People have to fail.
They do. And we built our business really focusing on those people, not to, oh, you're losing your house, I just want to prey on you and buy it.
Yeah.
It's our whole business is know your options. Because a lot of these people, there's not a lot of resources, and there actually are a lot of predators out there looking to just, buy the house for super cheap. And so our whole model has been, let us present to you what all of your options are so that you're making informed decisions about what you want to do here. Because initially when we started out, we actually would just go to the foreclosure sale and we would bid on them on the county steps and buy them directly from them. And then what was happening is all the investors were bidding it up crazy there. And so like the meat on the bone was just going away. And eventually we looked at each other and was like, why don't we go to the homeowners? Because
Before it gets here.
yeah, they can, they'll, a lot of times they were able to make money and they would get a good chunk of change so that they could go and rebuild their life, because that's really what's necessary. And in a lot of these situations is these people, they need everything available to them to go out and kind of rebuild and restart. And a lot of times it was sad to see that that wasn't happening.
Yeah, and so now that the moratorium's over, now that the directive from the government, which now is influencing the banks, now banks are starting to foreclose. And the directive started on October 1st, and we knew it was coming, and we started tracking it. So we decided we were going to start building a team to take care of these people. And so that's exactly what we've done. We've launched a new real estate team that we're excited about. We call ourselves True Agency Team. And the focus of the real estate agents is what?
Is to truly represent, and they have a fiduciary responsibility to their client. And that's where the name True Agency came from. That's what I've always called my team. It's just kind of taken on an even deeper meaning now, because we are targeting the notice of defaults here in Utah and across the country have honestly exploded. And in the real estate market now, there are not a lot of agents who understand how to do short sales, or honestly, even how to deal with people who are in these distressed situations. And so our team specializes in that. We are a certified distress property, distress. What the hell is it?
Certified distress property experts. It's your designation.
Certified distress property experts is what it is. And and it takes on this meaning of really just showing up as an advocate for these people who are in these situations and letting them know what all of their options are. And it's really awesome. Our agents all have their own territories. So we assign zip codes to the agents on our team. So we have agents all across the Wasatch Front here in Utah. And it's cool. I love the dynamic of our team because we are truly not competing. It's cooperation. And that's, I feel, really rare in a real estate team. A lot of times it's, whoever can get to the lead first, and everybody's trying to fight each other over the one little piece of meat that comes in from a Zillow lead. And this team is not that at all. Like they all have a list of NODs in their area that they work, and they help each other out.
Yeah, we still have not, just so you understand, like our business, we still have not successfully bought a house at a trustee sale since 2020, the beginning of 2020. That's when we bought our last house at a trustee sale. So while we're still going to sales and we're still watching them and monitoring them, the dynamic of the market has made it so that there still really aren't great opportunities for us there yet. But we're tracking them because we know those opportunities, because unfortunately it's an inevitability that there are going to be people who get into this position and they just walk away. Yeah. They just don't want to deal with it and they just walk away. And that's where we come in and we buy the house and we remodel it and we get it back on the market. And I've always felt good about that because we're doing something good for the neighborhood, doing something good for the market. Without us, that house sits abandoned. Like it becomes an eyesore. It becomes a problem for vagrants or homeless people. They end up moving in. Like they become big problems.
Yeah. So I think I wanted to just touch on really quick what a short sale even is, because I feel like a lot of real estate professionals don't even understand
let's talk
short sale.
Nuts and bolts.
Yeah. So a short sale is when someone's actually upside down, and this is happening a lot, like with their mortgage. So their house is not worth what it would sell for today, including commissions. So
let's give a real life example. The last one that we successfully closed, the client in Tooele, they owed 380. What was?
I don't know which one you're talking about specifically.
Well, the last one we just closed, without giving names and addresses away.
Well, we have so 300.
We can pause it. Don't put this in there, so we'll edit this. I'm talking about Scott's house.
Oh, okay. Well, there was Alexis Bowman. I'm like, I don't know which one you were
Right.
talking about.
But
Okay.
Scott's the last one we closed.
Okay. Well, do you know the numbers or?
What? No, you did the short sale.
I know, but
I was going to say, like,
I don't remember exactly what he owed.
okay, we don't need to know the exact number, but my experience is when we tell the story, it explains the short sale. So the client owed 385. The house was worth 369.
Okay.
I don't know if those numbers are accurate. Is it close?
Yeah, it's close enough.
If you don't want to do it this way, we can go
That's
back.
fine. Well, if it's your idea, you just say it. It's
Okay,
what I
so
think. Like if you're trying to make me like
no, I
say
was
what's in your head.
no. So a real life example that Tiff just closed. The client owed about 385,000 or so with all of their deficiencies and fees and penalties and everything, and they reached out to her and she knew how much the house was worth, like really accurately, because she had just sold almost the exact same house just a couple blocks over, like footprint, everything, age, everything. So the house was worth about 365 ish. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah. So guys, do that math. Owes 380. It's worth 365. That's the essence of a short sale. You're
Right.
asking the bank to take less than the full amount that's owing.
Right. So there are some requirements of a short sale. There does have to be a hardship that happened, and you have to be able to, prove that hardship. You have to prove that you're not able to continue to make those payments. And yeah, basically you're going to the bank and negotiating with the bank and asking them to take a lesser amount than what they're owed. So that's in a nutshell what a short sale is.
Yeah, and that process isn't simple.
No. And unless you're hiring a professional negotiator, which we do, by the way, because it's very time consuming. We're working on a few right now, and you need to be reaching out to the bank every other day, typically,
right?
minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really requires that you're kind of the squeaky wheel and getting them any documents that they're asking for. So the process is a lot longer than a traditional sale. Typically, you're looking at bare minimum 3 months, 3 to 6 months typically.
Right.
On one of these.
Yeah, and what we've seen happens is a real estate agent goes and meets with a client, and they discover that the client is underwater, and or they're upside down in their property, and so they know enough to call it a short sale. So they list it, the MLS here in Utah and across the country, most of them give you the option to list it as a short sale, meaning it requires approval from the third party. So most agents, I don't know, it seems like most agents know to at least do that, right?
Yeah.
But that's normally where most agents stop. There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is one of the options that we offer these distressed sellers. Obviously, we can buy their house for cash, but I would love for you to get into, Brad, like what are the dangers of someone who's looking for a cash offer? What do sellers not know about how that process works?
Yeah. So our number one competitor in the cash offer space are wholesalers. And I've wholesaled property, so I don't want to act like I'm something that I'm not. A wholesale, let me give you a quick, if you don't know what a wholesale is when somebody puts a property under contract, and rather than selling the property, they actually sell their right to purchase the property to another buyer. For example, I get a property under contract for $300,000. I know of other cash buyers that would pay $310,000 for that. I send it to them and say, "Hey, I have this property under contract. Would you like to buy it for $310,000?" They say sure, and they pay me that difference. That $10,000 is called an assignment fee, typically. What we see happening in the market right now is wholesalers, a lot of them are making representations that they're going to buy the house for $300,000. And maybe they say they come up with different reasons to explain why they need to expose it to other people, that they're going to market it to other properties or to other buyers, What we see and what we're seeing happening is we're seeing wholesalers come in, especially to you real estate agents. If you're a real estate agent, we see them coming in and saying, "I'll give your seller the number that they want." And then they expose it to their buyer's list, because we all build a buyer's list. And then their buyer's list comes in and says, "Well, no, it's not worth 320 because that's what the wholesaler is marketed it at, and that's what the wholesaler has it on. But we would give you 280 or 270. And so then the wholesaler goes back to the seller and the seller's agent and says, we can't give you, after doing our inspection, we can't give you 320, but we can give you 270,000. But the way they go about it, everybody does it different. But real estate agents, I'm telling you, when you turn this over to a wholesaler, you have completely, in my opinion, abdicated your responsibility to your seller.
Yeah. Because first of all, integrity is one of a core value that we have in our business. We truly believe that whatever it is you're doing, be transparent about it, be integral about it. One thing that I always talk about is we operate in a win-win-win situation. And what that means is a win for us, a win for the party on the other side, and a win for just the higher good. Because these people that are out operating this way, it's very shady. A lot of times they're not even explaining things that are in the contract. We're seeing equity be completely just robbed of a lot of these sellers. They're having them sign over their property,
Well, that's the foreclosure rescue, right?
Right.
That we're seeing, which is a totally right along the same lines. But
there's a lot of things like this that are happening. But even the wholesalers that just aren't being transparent about what they're doing, we found that we can be completely transparent about what it is that we're doing, and people still choose to work with you because they can trust you. So, just a word of caution to agents and to sellers out there. If somebody is making some representation that seems too good to be true, if they're saying, yes, I'll buy it for this amount, when there are other agents or investors telling you, flippers specifically, flippers are going to give you the best number that you can get if they're planning on flipping it themselves. What a wholesaler will do is say, oh yeah, I can give you that amount, whatever that amount is, even if it's ridiculously high. They're gonna get you because they just want to get you under contract, even if they know that they can't sell it for that.
we've been in the rooms with them, you guys.
And then they're
we've
just
heard
gonna
it.
keep coming back and asking for price reductions, and now you're already pot committed. So, even at the price that they're gonna get you down to, they're still making $10, $15, $20,000 on top of that because they're selling it to the actual end buyer, which is the flipper. Where when Brad does this, it's more like a referral fee. He's upfront about it. Like, I'm going to refer this to another flipper, partner flipper of mine. So that's the difference.
Yeah, and look, I just think the whole thing for wholesalers, if you're watching this, just tell everybody what you're doing. If you can't tell them what you're doing, don't do it. And that means, hey, I'm not going to be able to take this one down, but I have a partner. I have somebody else that I've bought deals with. They can, and they're going to pay me a finder's fee. If everybody's cool with that, go for it. If they're not, don't do that. Go find something else. Yeah, pretty simple. The other thing that we see happening right now is something called there's a foreclosure rescue scam that's been coming back, where basically somebody comes to you and say you're $20,000 behind on your payment. They'll offer to give you the $20,000 to get behind, and then you start making payments to them. Now that in and of itself isn't a scam, but if you have equity, and they're taking all of your equity to do that, because normally what it looks like is they will basically buy the house from you and then give you an opportunity to rebuy it. There are so many problems that come along with this, and just be aware that there are so many missteps you can make as the homeowner and as a real estate agent. If you're trying to get somebody into this program, there are some good ways you could go about it, but just be very aware that they're probably not looking out for the homeowner's best interest.
A good example of a loan that I would say is legit is if they're willing to give you a loan and they're going to lien the house, but they spell out interest rate. They spell out the interest rate, not that they're just trying to get you to sign a trust so that they're owning the house with you, because then what they're doing is just trying to take all the equity. And also, I feel like it's really important for people to understand this. Right now, it appears we're at the top. I mean, everything would point to that. Inflation is crazy. Fuel prices are going up.
Interest rates are going to have to go up.
Yeah. So what normally happens is like understand where we're at. Right now is probably the best opportunity in the next little while. It's not going to last long, but this is the time to cash out.
Yeah,
So if you
historically,
need
it's
to
like
sell your house, like sell your house sooner rather than later so you can, capture all that equity now, because what's going to happen if you're kicking the can down the road and doing stuff like this just assuming that you're going to have more equity down the road, know that that's probably going to go away over the next little while. So if you're banking on, getting these loans off of your equity, you're going to be underwater. And when you're underwater, you can't refinance. Even if your credit's good, nobody's going to refinance a house that's underwater. So just understand that.
Yeah, the way we've been looking at it, guys, is that on average, real estate appreciates 3 to 5 years or 3 to 5% per year, right? And yet we've had these years over the last half decade where we've seen 12 to 14, 15%, sometimes 20% appreciation in a year. Over the long haul, real estate will appreciate 3 to 5% per year. So if you have this big spike, like see the spike, over 20 years, it's going to end up here. So just from a visual standpoint, if it pops here, it's going to over 20 years end up here. That's the 3 to 5% per year. So if you got all that 3 to 5% in 5 years, like historically, the only thing it can do is kind of level out, maybe even go down a little bit. We're not doomsdayers. We're not saying sell everything and exit. There's no reason to
But
panic.
part of, like, I believe an agent's fiduciary responsibility is keeping an eye on the economy and the real estate market and what is
sure.
it doing, and educate yourself, and not just from NAR. Like, I'm sorry, but NAR, they're not giving you the full picture. There are other numbers out there that is just pure data that is not as skewed towards looking as bright and shiny as like the
Yeah,
NAR
I'll say this about
always
NAR.
is.
I'm not a member of NAR. NAR has one job, and that's to recruit and grow more real estate professionals. So they're going to do whatever they can to recruit and grow more real estate professionals. And saying, oh, transactions are going down, it's going to be harder than ever to sell a house for the next 3 to 5 years, that's not going to recruit more real estate professionals. Their numbers go down, their margins go down, the cost per agent goes up. Like, that's bad for business for them if they say that, even though that's what's happening.
That is what we're seeing in the market. That's the reality of it. And we're all seeing it. And the thing about me, like I've heard people say, oh, they just have PTSD from 2008, which sure,
I do.
Brad may have, he has PTSD from
It was
2008.
rough.
Me, however, like I actually got my real estate license in 2011, the beginning of 2011. And so I saw the aftermath. I met with all the sellers who were saying, my agent did me dirty. They told me I was going to have equity in this house forever and ever and that I'd be able to sell. They were telling me this was
Real
a good
estate
deal.
goes up every
It
year.
was a great time to buy. And my agent, they did me dirty. And so what?
Buy the house, marry the rate.
Exactly. So for me, what that taught me was like, I am never going to be one of those agents that's just like, oh, buy. It's always a good time to buy. I'm going to actually put some thought into that. I'm going to actually do my own due diligence. I'm going to actually look at all the data and truly try to represent my client. Now, us real estate agents, we say we have no crystal ball. We don't know what the market's going to do. And there is some truth in that. We cannot predict when things are going to happen specifically.
Nobody can.
But we do have an idea of what's happening in the market. And there are plenty of clues. We know that people are struggling more than ever to afford basic necessities. It's like 47% of Americans say that they couldn't absorb $1,000 emergency. If there was $1,000 emergency that comes up, they would not be able to afford it.
$1,000 emergency doesn't even cover the cost of replacing your water heater.
Yeah. So no, not everybody should be a homeowner right now.
Statistically, only about 62 to 64% of our population should be homeowners.
Right. And now property taxes are going up. they've skyrocketed across the country and in Utah. We've felt it. That affects your mortgage payment. There are a lot of things that play into this. Now, there are other things. This doesn't mean that I tell, all of my buyers you should never buy, because the thing is, there's value add. There are ways that you can predict which properties are going to hold their value better than others.
House
There are
hacking.
ways, house hacking is a great one. I've represented a few people that have bought a duplex and then, or a house that has an ADU, and then they're able to rent that out and subsidize part of their mortgage payment so that it's more affordable. Lots of things that can be done, but you're not doing your clients any favors if you're not at least having this conversation with them. Can you absorb if something happens in the next 3 to 5 years? How secure is your job? Could you absorb? Would you feel comfortable with this mortgage payment? And if the answer is no, there are other ways to go about it. Even buying a property that, that's dated, that doesn't look so great aesthetically, but the bones of the house are good. A lot of times people overlook this. They want the new build. And the thing that I saw from my first years in real estate, townhouses, new builds, those are the ones that went underwater the quickest.
Yeah. Okay. So we're focusing on that. We're still, ironically, we're still flipping houses. We're still betting on the fact that we can find houses that that they've become devalued for whatever reason. Most of the time, it's cosmetic stuff, but we're focusing on certain neighborhoods, certain price points, and we're constantly evaluating that. Where is the best in our market? Where is the best place to be investing in, to be going into value add opportunities? We've been right a lot. We've also been wrong before.
Well, and here's the thing. It's just forced us to be better flippers. Knowing what's happening in the market, we have to be even more precise with our numbers. We have to know our ARV, after repair value. So I believe that we can flip houses in any market. We watched other investors flipping houses in 2011, 2012. And it was more just about like flipping houses is fast. You need to be able to be in and out in 90 days, 3 to 4 months max, because you can almost always predict what values are going to do in that short period of a time. And we've just gotten really, really tight on the comps that we use. We are only using comps within 3 miles of the subject property. It has to be basically an exact replica of the house that we're flipping. And so we've gotten really honed in on that.
The other cool thing, Tiff, and this is like one of those relationship pieces, we've been through some turbulence over the last 3 to 5 years. We've struggled navigating the market. We've struggled building the right team. We've struggled building the right construction business. We've experienced lots of struggle and setbacks. We've lost on deals more than we ever have.
Yeah, and I know that that's necessary. Like you only learn through those dark tunnels. You learn through your failures. And so when you get your ass handed to you in that way, you're like, okay, we're not making that mistake again. We're going to figure this out. And you learn those lessons. Like, I feel like it's very difficult to learn those lessons. If you're sitting in a classroom or some mastermind and you're hearing someone else talk about it, the truth is you hear it, but it does not integrate. You do not integrate it until you actually go through it.
Go out and take action. Yeah, guys, we got to listen to one of our favorite artists a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Drew McManus in Satsang, and he shared a cool story about his journey in music. And I think musicians, entrepreneurs, creators, people who are going against the grain, who don't just take a 9 to 5, not because there's anything wrong with a 9 to 5, not because there's anything wrong with going with the grain, but it just doesn't fit right for you. We're like kindred spirits. And he said this cool thing about being on the road, having this moment where like he was losing money. He was upside down. His previous album had absolute tanked. He owed money. He was in debt. He was struggling to get people to come to his shows. And he said it occurred to him, and this just moved me so much. He said, it occurred to me that any logical person, any sane person would quit now, and I'm not going to. And Tiff and I have had that moment where we thought, this is where anybody with any sanity would actually quit and do something else. but we're not going to.
But and I also need to add to that, you would be throwing away all of that wisdom that
Right.
you've gained through
Yeah.
going through all of that. So and the other saying that comes to me that we've always said is you don't fail until you quit.
Yeah.
Like it's never truly a failure until you decide to hang it up for good.
Yeah, and what Drew said that just hit me so hard, he said, I knew that there were a lot of sane, logical people in this place that would quit. So the herd just got smaller. And that's been like something that has resonated with me so much because we felt that where we thought, wow, this is when most people would probably quit.
Yeah. And I want to say something to the real estate agents that are out there too, because this is happening and will continue to happen in the real estate space. More and more people are not going to renew their license. They're not going to pay their dues. They're going to hang it up because it's about to get harder and harder. It's already started. It's getting harder and harder because the pie is getting smaller and smaller. And there's a ton of real estate agents out there. We have, I think, more licensed real estate agents than we ever have in the US. So the herd is going to thin. It's going to be the people that are resilient, that learn to pivot, that learn to, honestly, what I feel like is people are going to need to learn to provide a service to these people who are in these distressed situations, which is why I decided to build my team servicing that population, because it's going to be a big part of it. And it's also what I saw in 2011. The real estate agents that were killing it were the ones that were doing short sales and representing REOs, the banks, who had foreclosed on properties. So,
well, Tiff, talk before we get we're getting close here. We talk about the principle of the K economy, because that's what we're experiencing right now. And you were the first person to talk to me about the K economy. I had never even heard of this.
yeah. It's basically a wealth gap that's happening. And if you can visualize the letter K, we have the bottom portion of the middle class that the way that our system is set up right now are those people are going to start becoming poorer and poorer. And that's what's
and it's
happening.
going to grow. That segment is going to grow, right?
The people are going to lose more of their wealth.
Right.
If you're in that bottom half of the middle class. And then the top half of the middle class, what is happening is they're becoming more and more wealthy.
Especially the people like on the K, if you're up here, if you're already wealthy, you're just going to continue to get even more and more wealthy.
So what I believe needs to happen is, and the way that I visualize this is, people are going to have to bridge that gap and jump to the bottom portion of the K. And I believe one of the best ways to do that is through real estate. It's
jump to the bottom portion or the top portion?
Jump to the top
Right,
portion.
jump to the top
A bridge to the top, right? Like, we have to find ways to be able to build more wealth, or you're going to be washed out with that bottom half.
Yeah, and we still,
It's a reality.
with everything we've been saying about the struggles in real estate, we still believe in it.
Absolutely. You just have to know. It's about knowing where it's going. It's like real estate never goes away. It's shelter. Everybody needs houses. It's just navigating it with integrity that matters.
Yeah. So the other area that we see, and we saw in 2008 till about 2014, was this group of investors, people who understood how to buy and hold, how to do it with minimal debt, how to do it with or little to no debt. And I know that sounds crazy, but we'll talk more about that later. It's not that you're not using debt, you're using debt, but you're not using your own debt. We'll talk about that, but how you can structure deals so that you can acquire cash-producing, cash-flowing properties without putting everything of your own at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I just want to leave everyone with this. The worst thing that you could do as a real estate investor or real estate agent, or even as a homeowner, seller, is to bury your head in the sand and say, none of this is happening. That's the absolute worst thing you could do, because you can't possibly prepare yourself for what's coming. So pull your head out of the sand, turn around and look at it, and figure out how you're going to pivot. One last thing. If you are a homeowner and you found yourself in a tough situation, please reach out to us. You can reach out to me directly. You can go to our website, www.stayinyourhometoday.com. We have a form that you can fill out there, and someone from our team will reach out to you. And I can promise you that you're going to have someone who's fighting for you on your behalf. They're going to show up as your advocate. They're going to present all of the possible options that are available to you. You will remain in the driver's seat. You'll make the best decision for you. Their job is just to educate you on what's available. So if you are dealing with something like that, please reach out. Let us help you. Let us advocate for you.
Yeah, and I think it's important for you guys to understand, like reaching out to our team, you have so many options available if you're in one of these distress situations. Only a couple actually result in you working with us. So we're not saying call us so that you can work with us. Call us so that we can explain to you what all your options are. We believe that the more value we can give to you, things will work out for us. And we're here today, proof of that. That not because we're perfect, but because we just keep looking for ways to add value to you.
Yeah. That win-win-win is, the win for the higher power. Like whatever higher power there is, they know whether or not people are operating in integrity. And I believe that strongly. So we're here for you.
Yep. We'll be releasing more podcast episodes more consistently over the coming weeks and months. We'll be covering all topics: real estate related, life related, relationship related, and any questions you guys have, feel free to reach out. We'd love to direct them, maybe even answer them here on our podcast.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thank you for reigniting with us in our True Life Balance podcast. Have a great day.